meet lots of other people who have similar trajectories and similar shows, and it's not always a match in terms of like, you know, the showrunners themselves. But as soon as I met Erin, it was like, oh, cool. Like, it was very yin and yang. So actually very similar to our dynamic. You know, we just met and it was like, wow, my strengths really match your, like, we balance each other out strength-wise. And so we were like, oh, maybe there's something here we could do about a benefit show. And we could learn from each other and the way that we run our shows as we do it. Yeah, so Erin got a pitch from me, brought it to the Magnet Theatre. We pitched it as this double header benefit show. So he would do his show first, I would do my show second. He already has a bit of a built-in audience, and I've never brought the show to New York City. So we thought at the very least people would just like stick around, maybe drink and sneak into the next show. And all of the, oh, and I should say with our show as well, we always donate 10% of our proceeds to the crisis line. But for this show, we decided to do it an entirely benefit show. So we worked out a bit with a Magnet where they would donate 50% of the proceeds to Vibrant Health there. Because for me, donating to crisis lines is very important, and I like to donate to the cities that I take the show to benefit the local community. And for me, it's always been crisis lines are the black and white. You know, it's just kind of like there's no controversy around keeping somebody alive.
Oh my gosh.
So there's plenty of different controversy around different mental health procedures and stuff like that, and that's fine. Some work for some work for others, it's fine. So so there's this crisis line called NYC Well in New York. That's an initiative of Vibrant Emotional Health, who also runs the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is statewide, which is both phone and text. And so we've been working on a relationship with them, and so we're going to donate 50% of the proceeds of that benefit show to them, and they're going to come, and they have a representative coming and speaking at the event.
Oh my gosh, and you know, that's really always exciting. The best reward. You know, it's effective, what you're doing, right? First of all, you are helping, you're saving so many lives, you have no idea how many lives you're saving. You only save one, you're doing a good job. How much more knowing you're
Sometimes it's just my own.
Yeah, exactly. You're here. It may have been a hard day yesterday, as I was saying earlier before the show, and here you are, you're alive.
But that's the cool thing about storytelling, you know, like I really do feel that when storytelling is in its healthiest form, it benefits everybody involved and it raises the vibration, you know, of like, it's cathartic for me to share with you. It's cathartic for the audience maybe to hear what they need to hear.
Yes.
You know, I've certainly been in places where I've been and somebody's been like, I don't know why you said that thing on stage. And I was like, oh, I know. I had to hear it. That's
there you
exactly
go.
why.
And you take down the stigma, because slowly, you know, my dream is one day we can openly talk about it. Because right now we're still encouraging a lot of people to really be open about it. Because it helps.
That's why I think it's so important to create these spaces where it is a truly safe space. And that's something that we really have worked on, both in terms of, thankfully we've never really had to deal with anything audience-wise, but in terms of like the acts that we book and that sort of thing, it's it's really important to us that we book people that believe in what we do in creating safe space and using their comedy to go deep and be vulnerable and be healthy, because there are some comedians out there who are lovely people who that's not their jam. And then there are some people that are maybe not safe for that kind of space and the audience that we have, and so it's important to us to have clear boundaries so that it is a safe space for those who do want to be there.
True, and I think you have to be skilled too in terms of delivering comedy lines, right? Otherwise, your punchline wouldn't work.
That is correct.
Right? You know, I think it's easier to be a dramatic actress than to do comedy, because you gotta have the perfect timing. Especially you're talking about mental health, like timing is probably very crucial, because you want to make sure it's gonna hit them perfectly, positively.
One thing that we're scheming towards with future motion of the anxiety show is to potentially bring it to different areas, and whether it's schools or communities or whatever, to get to bring the anxiety show to communities. And so when I bring shows to communities, I also partner them with workshops. So one of the workshops I have is called The Power of Play. And one of the things I talk about in The Power of Play at the beginning is how it's not so much about what the thing is, it's your perspective on it. So it's like if you look at dogs, right? If you're at a dog park and you see dogs, there's dogs that fight and there's dogs that play. And it's like if you look at what they're doing the same thing, right? Like it's just the thing that's different is the intent behind it. So like dogs that play are still biting each other and rolling around and yapping and whatnot. I assume they yap.
Yeah.
The little ones. But when they fight, they do the exact same thing, only with more malicious intent. It's growing the muscle of being able to move into a play place so that you can make a fun joke out of it.
So almost, it's like looking at a glass half full or half empty. Look at it half full.
Which is a muscle. But I also think, too, that sometimes the reason the anxiety show exists is because sometimes that glass is half empty. And
That's
that
true.
really sucks.
It's easier said than done,
Yeah.
right? But you can't.
Yeah.
Even if you tell them you're going to be okay, no. You don't feel that you're going to be okay. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the real thing.
But then that's why we have a show like this, which is like, but look, there are people that have done it before, and they're a bit ahead of you, and this is
Okay.
their story, and this is how they did it.
And then hopefully, right?
Yeah.
From your experience.
Yeah.
And I was
Which
talking
is why
to-
we have the open mic, so that you can
Yes.
try.
And maybe after watching you, while they're so inspired, anybody can go, right? Write down their names.
Yeah,
just
and if they
go
don't
up
want to
and-
go and stand up too, then they can write down on the sheets of paper and write down a story and do it anonymously.
And there's always a way. You always find a way for them to share what they are feeling, because it's for me it's very important that at that moment when you have this kind of emotion that you want to release, you have to have a way to release it. Otherwise, it's kept there,
Big time.
and then that's when it affects you. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you got together. Like, I'm sure there will be there are other people wanting to be a part of your team, and
They can't be. It's just us.
sorry.
We're done now.
You got to be able to, look at the glass half empty and still do comedy, right? It's like accepting what it is
Big time.
and moving on. And, it's never going to go away. So I think once you get anxious or you develop any mental struggle, it's going to be with you for life. It's just accepting it. It's a big, big part. Accepting it, being aware, and then coping.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I learned I had anxiety as a mom because the therapist of my youngest told me, "Mom, you have anxiety." Because every time my kids would go out without me, I would ask them to text me every 10 minutes to just let me know where they were. And we're not talking 6-year-olds. We're talking like my eldest was like 26 at that time. And my Rio was like a teenager. I never thought. I was just like thinking, oh, I want to make sure they're fine. They go, no. And nobody told me I had anxiety. Nobody knew that until my girl's therapist told me. And so I tried to. That's my story.
Well, that's the gift of storytelling, though, right? Like, I know that I've been in rooms where somebody had said, I have this because I did this. And I was like, I do that. Does that mean I have that?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, and it's very empowering to be able
True.
to be like, but also they're really funny and they look like they're doing okay. So maybe it's okay that even if I have this thing, it has a lot of stigma, that's okay. I can put a label on it and deal with it.
True. It made me feel like, oh, so it's normal.
Yeah.
It helps a lot to know that it's normal, like what I'm doing. But I'm too much, though. So I was aware. So slowly.
Well, and I like to view it as like, sure, yes, it maybe doesn't go away. But the way I view it is like we're sailors. You know, those of us who choose to go inside and do this brave journey internally instead of running and avoiding, which is fine too, that's a fine choice. Is we're sailors. And so, sailors deal with weather all the time. And you never know when the storm's going to come. And if you're traveling in like Bermuda, the Bermuda Triangle, there's quite a high likelihood that you're going to have storms. So if you want to do adventurous travel, there is a huge reward in doing it. And sure, the storms can be exciting, but you get to be a better sailor. That's how I view it. You know, so we do grow and we do evolve and come to expect it. Like I know for me, doing the inner work that I do, in addition to, you know, the comedy chops, but also, you know, therapy and my support groups and stuff are a very real part of my life. But I choose to keep that ongoing because it gives me these tools that I'm so much better at navigating than I was like 2 or 3 years ago. Like it's like when body trauma comes in, it's like, oh, okay, I'm in depression today. All right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
True, right?
time for I'm into my depression kit. All right, here's my blanket, here's my Netflix. You know, it's like cancel my calls for the next 3 days. You know, it's just like, okay,
I got
72 hours of this. Hopefully not more. But that's it. Is that if I show up to it, it passes. Like the storms will always pass. It doesn't storm forever.
That's beautiful.
Well, the beauty of this show for me is just as you're talking, I'm thinking about how, you know, I thought that I would not ever do comedy again. Like I thought that world was not healthy for me because of how it was affecting my mental health. And that's a huge, like, seeing that actually, no, you can still be struggling with your mental health and you can turn that in a positive way into your art. True. And so it was like this whole other attitude or perspective of how I can do comedy. Because what I was doing before wasn't healthy for me. And the way that I was viewing it and maybe the material I was doing and all of that. But I feel like, oh, this is saved that part of my life, that, oh, I can do comedy and this was my safe place and now I'm developing this whole other kind of aspect and attitude and material and and confidence.
And confidence.
And feeling like, oh no, I can
self-esteem.
be part of this community again. Yeah.
Because, you know, anxiety, it affects your self-esteem for a while because it's like nothing's working for you. You're not good enough, things like that. But then suddenly you have this respect for yourself, right? And
Yeah, I will say that, you know, like there is something about stand-up that, which again is why I created the open mic, because if I had never had a safe, supportive open mic with safe, supportive women and men too, and non-binary, you know, like not just women, but for me, I needed women, for me. And to have this safe, supportive space to go up and share my story for 5 minutes and not get stoned was like, oh, it was so, like I felt like I grew like 4 inches after I did my first set. And to have that open mic is just so important. Like I am so honored, Elisha, that you shared that, because that is exactly what this show was created for and exactly why these spots were created, because it's so empowering in the best possible way to get up and share your story and claim that my story has worth, my experience has worth. Even if it's just writing down on a little slip of paper, this thing happened, and having somebody affirm your experience and read it out on stage and have other people nod in recognition is so powerful.
it validates you. Like, you are.
Totally.
You're normal, you're human, and, you know,
Totally.
you're brave, you're valuable, you're priceless. And that's a reward you can never put a price on yourself, on your audience. Because at the start, it's always a make or break. You never know. Is it going to help me? Is it not?
Big time.
But you took the plunge. You took the plunge. You didn't drown. You sailed.
Yeah.
Like a sailor.
Good callback.
I told my...
In the comedy community, we would call that a callback.
Oh, really? Oh, like I'm going to get called?
Well, that too. Yeah.
Join!
Well, don't call us. We'll call you.
I told my youngest, I'm going to make you proud today. Rhea, I hope I made you proud. Like, we have our sisters here. But oh my gosh, this is such an amazing show because, you know, we always try to have inspiring episodes. And now that mental health is really, really crucial, this is our focus. It's been our focus for like more than 2 years. And every time Mental Health Day is approaching, we always have special projects. You want to talk about it the entire year, but this is a time when everybody's listening and waiting. And that's why your show is very timely, because every year you can have anxiety any time of the year. The sun is outside, but then it's raining in your
totally.
mind.
Oh yeah.
That's why we had F Summer.
We had a show based on
The sad light. Have you ever, the sad light, does that really
Yeah.
help? Like, because it's we got a sad light, right?
Yeah.
But you know, you're raining inside.
100%.
How do you even shift, right? You're good at you're very, because you know you have, it's it's you. When you're sharing yourself, you don't need anything. You don't need to be reminded of what to say. You just talk from your heart. And that's
Well,
the
yeah,
most,
it's your story. You know it.
and it's your story. No one
Yeah.
knows it better
Yeah.
than you do, and no one can relate it better than you can. You're amazing. Well, I'm
you
so
are,
happy. I'm
Jackie.
so happy we got to talk because
Yeah.
we can't. I was telling Lisa. Hi again, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Well, I don't know the weather there, but here it's a little gloomy, but it's sunny inside. Where we are.
You know what I will say though about comedy, just when we were talking before, I never thought I could see myself as a comedian. All 90s, the problem with women, jokes aside.
Yeah.
Being a comedian was not part of my original vision. But it was in touring my next solo show, actually, the year after, which is about a bunch of stuff, but mostly coming to terms with the fact that I am a comedian and that's what I'm supposed to do. And one of those clicks for me was when I was writing Not Enough. And I was so scared that what was coming out of my head wasn't funny because it was just true. That's all, like, it was just like I was just writing stuff down that was true. And I had a mentor, TJ Daw, French God TJ Daw, who I call him Fringe Dad. He hates it. I continue to do it. And we laugh. I laugh. He hates it.
One has to laugh.
there is laughter coming from
Exactly.
me. But he said something that's really stuck out with me, which was, it's not so much the content that's funny, not in the first draft. It's the person that makes it funny. And I think there's this misnomer, especially with women, where you have to pick one. You got to be pretty or you're funny. Those you got a choice.
Oh wow.
Pick it when you're 5. You know,
Wow.
like, and then that's it. You know, like, here's your ID. I actually wrote a sketch about that I may research at some point. But yeah, you've got to pick one. And the fact is of course, like, just being funny, being human is funny. You know, like the way I see it, God's the comedian, you know, or the divine or the universe or whatever. You know, he's the one who's sitting back watching Netflix going like, oh, good luck.
Yes. I've been there.
You know, you're just like, I'm just going to leave you, just check on the popcorn for a second. You come back and it's like, where'd you go? You know, I'm just getting my popcorn. But that's how I see it. And so when it comes to being funny or not, it's like what I am coming to trust more and more is that it's a matter of just blurting it out in that open mic, in that first place environment. And you'd be shocked, especially if you've never done stand-up before, which is why I really believe that every woman, I mean, man too, but like, whatever, men, whatever, privilege, it's fine.
Natural.
Yeah, women of color, whatever, any kind of minority. There's something so empowering about getting up on stage, even though it is scary, but it's like, to have that rush of to say something that you think has been living in your head and terrifies you, and then have an audience laugh, like from recognition, not from bully, like laugh at you, because maybe the experience that you have is your talent show in grade 3 when you got booed off stage for, you know, doing Backstreet Boys wrong, and like, you know, Marsha was a jerk and got all of the girls to throw candy wrappers at you, you know? Not that I have trauma with that, but, you know, but it's like, that shouldn't be your last memory of being on stage, because there's such empowering. So forgive me for interrupting you. I feel so strongly about, like, I'm not funny. Like, that's why I ran these workshops. When girls go, I'm not funny. You know, that's for other people. It's like, you are a human. you break wind. You are officially funny. Like I
Perfect.
give you this funny stick, just by the sheer mass of being a human condition. I mean, if you don't want to be funny, that's different. That's different. If you want to be sober and gravitas, and that is the persona you bring to the world, by all means, I support that. But if funny is something you want, which is something I always wanted to be but didn't think I could, because the problem with women, is like, it's like, but if you really deep down feel like you can be funny, or you want to just try it, it's like, it's so empowering and important to do it. So to be funny, all you have to do is tell the truth,
Gotcha.
and then it's the lens of perspective that makes it funny. And that is the skill that you can hone. Like there is the muscle, like there is a skill to being a comedian. Like you can't, and then, I'm sorry, I want to soapbox now. It makes me so angry when people say you're either funny or you're not.
Yeah.
It's a skill, you can learn it.
This was what held me back for so many years. Like I grew up my whole life from a very young age being just the biggest comedy fan. Like
Yes.
I loved comedy so much, and my parents would always joke about how they could hear me in the basement by myself watching, Married with Children or whatever, and just like Seinfeld, whatever it was, just laughing and laughing and laughing by myself. And I found the old Robin Williams, Throbbing Python of Love record when I was like 8 or something, and I listened to it over and over. But as far as women, the comedians that I watched, and this might date me a little bit, but Gilda Radner and Lucille Ball and Carol Burnett. And the thing about them, though, was they were characters. Like they were really wild, out there characters. That's not me. I'm just a normal person, right? So I would never have seen myself like, I'm not a character. I can't go and be funny like that. So it was quite a long time in comedy before women were just not having to be an extreme character to be funny, right?
And now
They
you
could just
can
talk about their own experiences.
Yeah, and you can be funny now. Like, you can just talk about it. You're right. We have the blogs and things like that, right? Where you can just be yourself. I do love Lucille Ball. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, she had.
But you can find your audience. That's the cool thing
Yes,
about now. We're
yes.
evolving, and with the internet, and with productions like this, and
True.
just there's this way of broadcasting the message so that your people find you, because the anxiety show isn't for everyone.
True.
And it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. But the people who it's for, it is for them. And there are, though, if it's for you, welcome
Yes.
to our party.
Yeah.
We are here.
Well, that's the first time when I first started comedy was when I said, I found my people.
There you go.
I looked my whole life. I
And
never
niche.
had my people.
Yeah.
And now I have my people. I found you.
True. And you want to stick there, right? You want to stay with them where you are.
Absolutely, because it's way more fun with others.
True. And you thought you were alone at the start, right? You were only.
Totally.
Look at that. And you never know if you've been a magnet for them. How much there's no three of you.
Yeah.
Gonna be a magnet for
I think we were all magnets for each other, just little homing beacons.
And
It's a
ripple
matter of
effects.
time until it all.
Magnet plus ripple effects of everything. Magnets are this is
And with you, by the end of today, we're all just gonna walk out of here.
just
stuck to each other.
And Lisa, and of course your partners, and well, at the end of the day, it's the entire world having to support each other when it comes to whatever medium you use, whatever way you share your message about mental health is, right? The thing is, you want to save a life, whether you're doing it on purpose or accidentally,
Or even if it's just your own.
or even if it's just you. I like that.
Yeah.
You just saved yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing what passion can do, and vulnerability.
Well, I would say the same for you, Jackie. Look at this project that you've created and how you keep the passion going.
It's always from the heart. Family, friends, people you meet. Now look at that, new friends. Well, so maybe before we end the show, you want to invite them to, did you want to mention about?
Yeah, well, so we've gone monthly now, so we are officially the first Sunday of every month. Every month features a different trigger and or actual diagnosis. It's at 8 p.m. at the Kino Cafe, 3456 Canby Street. Tickets are by donation, always by donation, pay what you can. We suggest $15 or $1,500, whatever you do, you do you.
It's either or.
We won't say no. And a reminder, 10% of all of our proceeds go to, and that's gross proceeds too, go to Crisis Line. And we also make sure that we pay our performers. That's very important to us as well. And then the rest of the season can be found on meganphillips.com/The Show. So they're all posted there, and on social media. We have The Anxiety Show on Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect. So I think the lesson I learned today is it's okay to look at a glass half empty because you're being you. Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. It's been a wonderful episode. I loved meeting you and loved chatting with you. We learned a lot from you guys.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thanks, Jackie.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.